Alexandria comes in at 2-2. I'm Mickey Shadricks once again along with Coach Butch Barker. And Coach, two of the best teams in the county as far as rivalries over the past few years.
Mickey, this is a very big rivalry. I don't think they get any bigger than this as far as neighbors wanting to beat one another. Unfortunately, the weather may play a big part in this one tonight.
All right, we've got some talented players that we expect to see on the field tonight. Both quarterbacks for both sides are very talented. Williams for Sachs and McGinnis for Alexandria. Should be interesting to watch both teams.
I tell you what, both teams are diversified. Sachs runs and throws about 50% of the time. It's going to be interesting to see if they're able to do that tonight. Again, the weather may come into play, and neither team may be able to throw the ball, and it may come down to which team runs the ball the best. Coach Davis spoke about some of the things he hopes to do tonight.
Coach Barker had an opportunity to speak with Coach Davis, and we'll have that interview for you coming up. Also, the starting lineups and the kickoff on the Anniston New Channel's Calhoun County High School Football Game of the Week. At Buster Miles in Heflin, buying a new car has never been easier thanks to our Big Easy sale going on now through Wednesday, September 27th. You choose the car you want at the price.
In the area for about 3 years. How about telling us a little bit about yourself?
Well, Butch, I'm originally from Fort Payne and went to Fort Payne High School, and from there I attended Jacksonville State and received a BS there, and I was in the Auburn area at Elmore County High School for 5 years, so I worked on a master's and AA degree down there at Auburn University while I was close by there, and coached basketball when I came out of college because I played basketball and baseball in college, and was also assistant football coach at Elmore County High School. From there I went to Jonesboro, Georgia for 1 year, and then back to Auburn High School where I spent 14 years. From there I was at Arab High School for 1 year, and then from there I came to Sachs High School, and this is my third season at Sachs.
Well, what do you think about the football as far as in this area in comparison with some of the areas that you've coached in and played in and some of the areas you've seen around the state?
Well, there's not much better football in Alabama than what's played right here in Calhoun County. Sachs, as you know, has been down for the past 12, 13 years, except for probably the 87 season. The first year I was here, we were lucky enough to have a really fine run of athletes and made the playoffs that year. But it's very difficult to compete with the teams just in Calhoun County, much less in the state if you get in the state playoffs. The Auburn area, the central Alabama area has very, very tough football. The difference is I think the teams down there are more scattered. Here, a long trip maybe is 30 minutes, where down there we had to make trips down to Enterprise and Dothan and Montgomery, so there were some long trips almost down to the Florida line. So each week it was a long trip if you played on the road, plus we played all 6A schools, very, very large schools, and played some Georgia schools, but nothing, I don't think, really compares year in and year out with Calhoun County.
Well, Coach, this year your team's off to a very good start, 3-1, and could have easily been 4-0. I know that seems to surprise a lot of people. Has that been surprising to you?
Well, it really didn't, because our kids worked very hard. We lost a lot of players, and I think that probably disappointed some of our players, probably disappointed our players more than anyone else, and disappointed our coaches also. That we had over 50 out in the spring, and I thought something that I was doing, because we lost 20 or so players in spring training, and then when the August heat comes, you always have that attrition rate then. But we're not surprised that we're 3-1. We could be 4-0. At the same time, we could be 2-2. Cleveland County has a fine football team, but we had a chance to score late there, and then we had a 3-point lead, I think, at the time. We had a chance to score from the 2-yard line, didn't score, and then they marched 98 yards and scored a winning touchdown. So that's why we're 3-1 at this point. But last week we beat a Holt team that I thought had superior talent, so again we could be 2-2.
Well, have there been any individuals that have stood out early in the year?
Well, offensively, I think our offensive line works very hard. We don't have very much talent there and not very much size, but our offensive line works very hard to get what we get on offense. Jason Hill, for example, is a fine offensive tackle. He has to play both ways for us, and he plays middle linebacker and also plays offensive tackle. We lost a fine football player, and I'd like to mention him, Keith Newman, who was our starting center. Hasn't played any up to this point, but he'll come back and probably play the second half for us. Joe Mike Montgomery is an awfully fine tight end, and he plays both ways also. In fact, most of our players play both ways. We have a fine receiver. I don't think there's a better receiver in this area than Shannon Robertson. He's a split end, and he's so versatile that, in fact, if you play on our football team, you have to be versatile, because we only have 32 players out there, and they play 2 or 3 positions on offense, the same on defense. So those are some of the ones that it's hard to single out players that are really stars, because I don't think we have any stars. We have people who give great effort, like Daniel McCain. I don't think anybody tries any harder than Daniel McCain, and Richard Duggar and Ben Bang, and Deion Williams is a fine drop back passer. We try to drop back and protect him, but I think he's probably better when he throws on the move. But those players have sort of carried us this year.
Well, you have a big game this week against Alexandria. 2 years ago, you went into overtime. Last year, 15-12. You expecting that type of game this year?
I think it will be. We've been a similar team to Alexandria the past 2 years. This is only my 3rd year at Saxon. The past 2 years, you mentioned in '87, we went into overtime down here at our stadium. I remember the game very well. At the end, in overtime, that they had a receiver open in the end zone, and we had one of our defensive backs step in front and intercepted a pass that looked to be wide open, that they could have had to win. And then this last year in '88, we went out there and played at Alexandria for my first time to be out there, and we had them down at the end of the ball game. But it's just a trademark, I think, of their coaching staff and the tradition at Alexandria. The fourth quarter in the past has just simply belonged to them. They seem to come back on all the films we watch. They were down last week, for example, to Piedmont 14-0. Came back and scored 2 times, and last 10 minutes of the game won the ball game.
Well, you mentioned some injuries earlier. Are there any injuries this week that's going to affect perhaps your play against Alexandria?
No one will be out for us. We thought earlier that they would. Last week, Tracy Cooper, our starting fullback, didn't dress for the Holt game. And his backup, Kevin Crider, who is a fine football player, and we've just been waiting for him to come around. He sprained his ankle, and he didn't get to play against Holt. So we had a fullback down there at Holt that hadn't played very much before, but he played a fine football game, Keith Slayton, played very well. But the problem with him was he had to play both ways and had to go the entire game. So in the fourth quarter, he just simply gave out. This week we have Tracy Cooper back, and we have Kevin Crider back. We have the only one that we don't have back, as a matter of fact, is Keith Newman, the one I mentioned, that has a knee injury, and he'll be back for the second half of the season.
Keys offensively and defensively as far as you being successful this week?
Well, defensively, we have to react to. We don't react very well to the corners. We can't seem to get to the corners. We don't recognize sweeps enough. We don't recognize sprint out pass enough, quickly enough rather. And we're not that quick a football team, so we have to recognize very quickly. I think we have to stop Howard, the tailback, and he's like the tailback. He reminds me of the tailback from Heflin that had so many yards against us 2 weeks ago. And we have to stop him. Their passing game is another thing with Steve McGinnis out there, and they have 2 wideouts that look to be about 6'3" or something like that. Anyway, they're taller, much taller than Piedmont's cornerbacks and our cornerbacks. So I think that we'll have to get to McGinnis somehow. And they run so many different sets that it takes so much of your practice time up during the week that hopefully we've had good concentration this week. And first time ever that we went out on Thursday in pads. We went out today in pads because we felt like we had to spend some more time to prepare for them. Our offense, I think that we're very similar in our approach to the football game, I think, as Alexandria. We try to spread people out. We try to give a lot of different looks, but our offensive line has to perform the best they've done all year long. Alexandria has a big defensive front. It'll be hard for us to block. So I think if our offensive line does a job and gives Deion Williams a chance to throw, he's an excellent drop-back passer. And we have 4 excellent receivers. And I don't know, when I was at Auburn High School, we had a lot of talent there year in and year out. But I'm not sure we've ever had 4 as good of receivers as we have here. So if we can get some of our young people to grow up very quickly here and give Deion time to throw the ball, I think we'll do okay.
Coach, it's predicted that there may be a good chance of rain tomorrow night. Do you think that would affect your team or Alexandria, perhaps, as far as hurting the teams the worst?
I think it would be equal because of the simple fact that we mix the run and the pass so evenly. They would have a slight edge, I think, because I think their offensive line is more physical than ours is. I think they would, ours, I don't think theirs gives any more effort than ours does physically, but I think that they're just bigger than ours, our offensive line. So I think that always gives you an advantage if you have a stronger running attack. Our passing attack and their passing attack is very similar. I think they'll throw 20 times a game, and we will too if we can. I don't know who has the advantage in the rain when you start to throw. Some people say the offense has the advantage because the defense doesn't know where your receivers are going to stop and make their cuts. And maybe that's if we can keep the balls dry, if the officials keep the ball dry, both teams will be okay. So hopefully we'll get the game in. I hope this hurricane doesn't blow any bad weather in here.
Well, Coach, I know you like to take them one game at a time, but with all your area teams being located within Calhoun County, there's a big interest in your area in particular. How do you see the area race shaping up this year?
Well, first of all, everybody automatically thinks about Oxford and their great tradition, and they've been winning for so long. And Walter Welborn just is the same thing. As you know, you've seen them play and you've coached in this area, and you know what it's like. The only thing about it this year is that now Jacksonville has come in here, and they're competing with those two for the best team in this area. I know that if anyone had to pick it, they'd pick Sachs last of the four. I mean, I'm just being realistic. I know that that's the truth. The area race is going to probably come down to those three. I'm very optimistic on Friday night. Every time we go out there, I think we're going to win. But when you stop back and look at it realistically, we don't have the talent to compete with those three football teams. But we will be very competitive on the night of the game. I think we'll play over our heads. Last year we didn't. We were beaten badly by Alexandria. I still have Alexandria on my mind, thank goodness, but by Welborn and Oxford. But then we were able to beat Jacksonville last year. But this year, with the moves that Coach Hammett's made up there at Jacksonville, we're putting Sudduth at tailback. I think that's done his team well. I think that's the best move he could have ever made. And so our area, if I could pick an area in the state to play in, it wouldn't be this one. It would be some other one. I think it's the best area in the state, 5A.
Well, Coach, congratulations on how well your team started this year, and good luck to you tomorrow night.
Thank you very much.
For Anniston News Channels, this is High School Football 1989. We'll be back in a minute.
Hub's Pawn Shop, located at Highway 21 South, directly across from the Oxford Airport. At Hub's Pawn Shop, you'll find the finest selection of jewelry, TV...
Action of one of Calhoun County's best rivalries, Alexandria and Sachs.
Mickey, this has become a very bitter rivalry, not because they dislike each other, but because they're neighbors. Both communities have a lot of respect for the other community's program. It's been a very close game over the past 2 years. The year before last, it went into overtime with Sachs coming out victorious. Last year, 15-12 in a very hard-fought ball game. We expect much of the same again here tonight.
We're just a few moments away from the kickoff. We're waiting both teams to come onto the field here. The captains are just about to meet at the center of the field. For Sachs, the captains are number 47, Rod Barlow, along with number 81, Joe Mike Montgomery. For Alexandria, the captains are number 42, Chris Parker, and number 38, Todd Borders. Now to set the lineups for you, the offensive lineups. First of all, for the visiting Alexandria Valley Cubs, they come into this game with a 2-2 record. They're coached by Larry Ginn. The Valley Cubs are out of Area 11 in Class 4A. And they'll run a multiple offense. Across the front for the Valley Cubs, the offensive tackles will be number 74, John Upton, along with number 75, Charles McGraw. Offensive guards, number 62, Chad Adams, along with number 64, Bobby Welch. The center tonight will be number 54, Chris Jones. At tight end will be number 86, Joe Cargill. At split end will be number 88, Eric Butler. In the backfield, the fullback will be number 38, Todd Borders. The halfbacks will be number 24, Bernard Howard, and number 22, Keith McWilliams. And the quarterback will be number 15, Steve McGinnis. Now for Sachs, their offensive starting lineups look like this. The Wildcats come into this game with a record of 3-1. They're out of Area 11 in Class 5A, and they're coached by Jay Davis. And as you see, Sachs has won the toss. They have deferred until the second half, so Alexandria will receive the opening kickoff. Back to the Wildcats lineup. Across the front, the tackles, number 61, Billy Cole, along with number 68, Jason Hill. The guards, number 62, Daniel McCain, and number 56, Drew Bryant. The center will be number 60, Jason Childs. The tight end, number 81, Joe Mike Montgomery. The split end tonight will be number 44, Shannon Roberts. In the backfield, the fullback will be number 22, Keith Slayton. Tailback will be number 26, Rob Bouchard. We'll also see a lot of Brett Jones there tonight as well. Elsewhere in the backfield, the quarterback will be number 14, Dion Williams, and he is a talented man behind center. He can put the ball up and make things happen for the Sacs offense. And the Wildcats, the Valley Cubs are now both coming onto the field. There you see the Wildcats dressed in red jerseys, silver headgear, silver pants, red and white trim. The Valley Cubs on the far side dressed, of course, in their white jerseys, orange numerals, black helmets, orange pants, and black stripes. Coach, you can feel the excitement in the air with these two teams getting together here tonight.
Mickey, as we said earlier, this is a big rivalry between the two communities. There's a good crowd here tonight. I'm sure the threat of bad weather has kept a few people away. Very good crowd, a lot of electricity in the air. Everyone's expecting a very good ball game here tonight.
As we said, Alexandria will receive the opening kickoff. Valley Cubs have been a force in Calhoun County over the past several years. They have the longest streak of going to the playoffs. That is 6 years in a row. This year, they've struggled somewhat, Coach.
Well, they started off a little slow, basically because they lost a great number of seniors last year. They're playing a lot of seniors again this year, but as juniors, those people didn't see that much action. So early in the year, they had a lot of inexperienced people playing a lot of different positions for them. Now those people have 4 games under their belt. They've improved a great deal since the beginning of the year. I think they'll be able to play with the Sacs team, even though I feel like Sacs are a little bit more talented than the Valley Cubs are.
We're underway. Drew Bryant hits it. It's a short kick. It will be taken or fumbled and jumped on and recovered by Keith McWilliams. But Williams overran the football that time trying to pick it up, and the Valley Cubs will start back up at their own 15-yard line.
McWilliams did not do a very good job of looking the ball into his hands. He looked up to see who was coming at him. He did a good job, though, by jumping on it after making that mistake so that Sacs did not have a chance to recover.
Set the defenses for you as we go across the front. The ends, number 62, Daniel McCain for Sacs, along with number 20, Marcus Kirkland. The tackles, number 67, Anthony Ellison, and number 75, Richard Duger. We'll set the rest of the defense in just a moment. McGinnis brings the Valley Cubs out. A wishbone set. The pitch goes to McWilliams. McWilliams is hit hard by number 75, Richard Duger. Maybe a yard gain. It'll be 2nd down and 9.
Mickey, they were in an unbalanced set to the left, and they were also unbalanced to the left. They had more linemen on the left side than they did on the right. They ran back to the weak side. Sacs didn't shift to the unbalance, and had it played well to this side, stopped the play for a very little gain. You can look for Alexandria to come back to the strong side later on.
Rest of the defense, the linebackers, number 67, Anthony Ellison, and number 75, Richard Duger. Number 81, Joe Mike Montgomery, and number 21, Ben Bang. We'll set the secondary in just a moment. A man in motion, that's Howard. Howard gets the pitch, and he picks up yardage up near the 25, close to his first down.
Mickey's going to be about a yard short. It's a very good play by the Cubs. Quick pitch, sent Howard in motion, then quick pitch the ball out to him. Had a man lined up in the slot on the left side. He blocked down, allowed him to turn the corner for good yardage.
In the secondary for the Wildcats, number 17, Chris Cook, number 44, Shannon Robertson, and number 47, Rod Barlow. Big 3rd down and 1 coming up for the Valley Cubs. They need to get to the 25 for the first down.
It's a big play for them early in the ball game. If they don't pick this up, Sacs is going to take over in very good field position after the punt. It's a big play for them real early.
Parker in motion. Howard's got the football, has his first down up near the 29-yard line.
Bernard Howard's one of those young men I was speaking of that does not have a lot of experience but has really improved during the first part of the season. Of course, he's the son of Anniston High School's assistant coach, Bernard Howard, who is their head basketball coach. An outstanding athlete, only a sophomore. He's going to get better and better, not only as this season progresses, but as his career in the next 2 years progress at Alexandria.
Power eye set this time for the Valley Cubs. Now Howard goes in motion. This is McWilliams over the left side. He's hit immediately by Anthony Ellison, but not before he gains about 3 up to the 31. Coach, the man taking the snaps tonight for Alexandria, a young man that you're very familiar with, Mr. Steve McGinnis.
I'll have to admit, I know Steve real well. Steve spent 11 years at Weaver and then decided to go to Alexandria this year. He had moved into the community 2 or 3 years ago and decided to start attending that school this year. A very good kid, a very good athlete, a good quarterback. He'll do a good job for them. Mickey, there's some real battles taking place up front in the offensive line against the defensive front of the Sachs team. They're really coming off the ball and hitting each other. It's going to be a battle there all night.
Howard cuts it back against the grain and gets it up near the 45. Good improvising by number 24. Bernard Howard has another Valley Cup first down.
He had nothing at the point of attack. He did a good job of cutting it back. Sachs had played the play great. They had all slid down the line of scrimmage. He had no place to go. Only thing, they, in fact, overplayed it just a little bit and left him a lane coming back to the other side.
Just heard a thunder boomer overhead here. Hugo may be getting close. So far, we haven't had any rain, but there is a threat of it in the air. McGinnis pitches to Howard. He's got a block on the left side, and he turns the corner and gets it up near midfield. The Valley Cubs keeping it on the ground and finding good yardage on first down.
No passes thus far, Mickey. Another example of the quick pitch, Howard going in motion. The quick pitch allowing him to turn the corner for about 5 yards that time. They're doing a good job of running the football. It kind of surprises me that they're able to run the football like this. I thought Alexandria would have to throw the ball and mix in the throw and the run to be successful against the Sachs defense.
The wind beginning to pick up here at Wildcat Stadium. Second down. The pitch goes to Howard. Howard gets a block. A flag is thrown. Good play by Cook on the corner to knock Howard down.
I believe they're going to have a hold on this play. Again, they executed the play very well. The official, I think, saw a holding penalty against the Valley Cubs that's going to back them up.
The crowd beginning to get up and move around, pull out the umbrellas. The rain beginning to fall. As we said, we've got some thunder rolling overhead, along with some lightning. They mark the football way back to the 39-yard line. The holding call really puts a damper on this opening drive by the Valley Cubs. And the rain is starting to get harder.
Mickey, I don't think it's going to rain all night, but right now it's raining very hard, and also there's some lightning in the area. I wouldn't be surprised at all if the officials stop this momentarily and let this thunderstorm blow over.
3 men split to the left for McGinnis and the Cubs. The fullback gets the handoff. Good play by number 62, Daniel McCain. Borders carried the football that time.
Also, Joe Mike Montgomery, one of the captains for the Wildcats, made a good stop on that play. Mickey, it's going to make it difficult for either team to pass, and both of these teams rely on the pass somewhat if the rain continues to fall. Anytime you have a ball that's that wet, it's difficult to get the snap from the center. It's also difficult for the quarterback to hang on to the ball well. Plus, if he does get it off, difficult for the receivers to come up with the catch.
It's going to be 3rd and 13 from the 40-yard line. Howard goes in motion, gets the pitch from McGinnis. Howard trying to turn the corner, and he's not going to be able to. First man there was number 44, Shannon Robertson. Then Rod Barlow came up to finish him off.
Shannon made a good play. He wasn't able to hang on to make the tackle himself, but he slowed him down enough that he could get some help from his teammate.
And the rain is really beginning to come down here. The officials tonight, Darrell Ingram, the field judge, David Draper, the head linesman, Robert Evans, the umpire, Mark Jones, the back judge, and Glenn Connors, that is, the referee. And they've got a decision coming up whether to let this game continue. The punt has barely gotten away by Butler. A good rush by the defensive front for Sachs, and it'll be marked down at the 35. And that's where Sachs will take over if this continues. Coach, it is turning into a heavy downpour, as folks can see on the screen.
Mickey, without question, the biggest factor concerning this ball game will be the weather now. It's raining very, very hard. It's going to be difficult for the teams to hang on to the football. I'm not sure if either team will be able to do the things that they had planned on doing coming into the ball game.
Now the official calls a timeout, and I guess that they're going to at least postpone this for the meantime. They're sending both teams back to the locker rooms. Only, 5 minutes and 45 seconds into this one. No score in the first quarter, and we've got a rain delay here at Sachs Stadium between the Wildcats and the Valley Cubs.
Mickey, it's the first time I've ever been involved in one of these. All the years playing, all my years coaching, we never had to stop the ball game, but I think the officials certainly made the right decision. It's lightning. There's always the danger when there's lightning in the area. Even though it sounds like it's a little bit off in the distance, there's always that danger that it might strike here. There's certainly no need taking a chance like that. Take the teams off the field, let the fans find a place to cover up and hide here for a few minutes, and then we'll start it again.
All right. I would say we'd send you back to the studios for the Three Stooges or a look at This Week in Baseball, but I don't think we've got that queued up tonight. So we'll take a break, and hopefully in just a couple minutes we'll come back. Some time will have elapsed, and we'll be ready to play some football again. In the meanwhile, we'll be back a little bit later. Football. And we are back after I guess maybe about a half-hour rain delay, Coach. The rain is falling slightly right now, but I think we'll be able to continue playing football here.
Mickey, there'll probably be rain in and out with the hurricane coming in on the East Coast. There's liable to be rain moving in and out, but maybe there won't be any more lightning. We won't have to stop the game anymore.
Play gained a yard. It's 2nd down and 9. 5:32 and counting left in the first quarter. No score. Sacks with it. Williams gives it to the fullback. That's Slayton. Maybe 2. It'll be 3rd long for the Wildcats.
For all the armchair quarterbacks, Mickey, just put yourself in the position of being Coach Ginn on the sidelines. The officials let you go ahead and punt the ball in the driving rain. Had your punter fumbled the snap, or Stack's been able to block it because you weren't able to handle the ball, and then they stopped it because of the rain, do you think you would have had an argument with the officials?
That would have been interesting to see.
I'm glad it didn't happen.
I am too. 3rd and long. Williams has thrown for almost 600 yards so far in the year, but he won't throw it here. Gives it to the fullback. That is Slatton, and he's going to be stopped well short of his 1st down, and the Wildcats will have to punt it away.
The kicking game very well could come into play in a big way tonight, either because a team does not execute properly in kicking the ball, or the receiving team fumbling the ball with it wet and slippery as it is.
Shannon Robertson will hit it from his 27-yard line. Butler back deep for Alexandria at his 26. Good snap. And the punt is away. It's a good high and deep kick. Drives Butler back to his 17. Gets by one man, cuts it back upfield, and will be hit and knocked down at about the 24. Good hustle by number 54, Chad Cotton, along with Joe Montgomery.
Butler did a good job of catching the ball and then turning it back up. First of all, had he let it roll, it probably would have stopped before it went into the end zone, and Sachs had some people down to cover. And also, after he caught the ball, he brought it back for about 8 to 10 yards.
Butler having some, what looks like equipment trouble. He'll have to leave the game. And Alexandria will have it 1st and 10. And Coach, Alexandria had a pretty good drive going all on the ground until a big holding penalty put a stop to it.
You know, you would have to think that they were pleased to move the ball as they did on the ground, especially with the weather like it is now. You would think both teams are probably going to keep the ball on the ground most of the time. They had some success with it. Of course, now Sachs is going to primarily be looking for the run, so that may have something to do with their success running the football.
Alexandria, a very young football team, a lot of sophomores and juniors. The handoff goes to McWilliams, and McWilliams is hit right at the line of scrimmage by a host of Wildcat defenders. Montgomery was there, along with Jason Hill.
Mickey, you spoke of the young players for Alexandria. They have 14 seniors, 15 juniors, and 13 sophomores. On the other side of the football, Sachs is primarily a senior ball club. They have 20 seniors, only 8 juniors, and then only 6 sophomores.
2nd down and about 8 for the Valley Cubs. As we said, the rain continues to fall, but not as hard as it was when play was stopped a few moments ago. The handoff goes to Howard, and Howard finds a couple over the left side up to the 27. It's going to be 3rd and about 6.
Mickey, I'm not sure either team wants to chance throwing the ball deep in their own territory. Alexandria may have to here, but then again, they don't want to take a chance with turning the football over and giving Sachs good field position. This very well may be a defensive struggle, a field position struggle, until the weather breaks.
3rd down. Howard lines up in a slot. 2 men in the backfield. McGinnis will give it to the second man through. Spinning his way is Chris Parker, number 42, and he'll get hit right at the line of scrimmage. First man there for the Wildcats was number 81, Joe Mike Montgomery.
Montgomery's been in a lot of plays on defense thus far tonight. He's really out there giving a lot of effort. He's had some good hits. Young man's fired up for this ball game.
Both defenses probably going to be pretty content to just squeeze it down inside and just dare the opposition to throw the football.
I would imagine so, Mickey. The only thing with that, if you ever complete a pass, there's always that possibility you may break it because both teams are playing so many men close to the line of scrimmage.
Another good rush by Sachs, and Butler gets off a short kick. It's taken by number 44, Robertson. He gets it inside Valley Cup territory to the 49-yard line.
Well, Sachs definitely won the punting battle on that exchange. Early they started inside their 30. This time they're going to have the ball at the 49. Sachs got off a real good punt. Of course, now their punter had the wind behind him. Now Alexandria's punting into a slight wind. They have excellent field position to start this second drive.
As you can see on the far side of the field, a lot of Alexandria Valley Cup fans have headed home. A lot of them are still under the concession stand. The pitch goes to Barlow. Barlow is hit in the backfield. Big play for the Valley Cubs by number 43, David Taylor. Big loss on that one.
Mickey, that was a great play by Taylor. He shot through untouched, worked his way upfield, and dropped him for a big loss. We talked about the good field position. All of a sudden, they lose 6 yards on the first play. Now they're probably going to have to put it up in the air if they want to try to pick up the first down. If not, they'll just run the ball, hoping to pick up the first down again, but punt the ball and try to make Alexandria stop deep in their own territory again.
Out of the eye, Williams brings him out. Second down and 15. He'll give it to the first man through. That's the fullback. And he'll have maybe a yard, if any.
That was Keith Slayton on the carry. There was no place for him to go. Did a good job. He had the ball wrapped up so that he didn't fumble it. Nothing to gain there. He could have spun and given a lot of effort, but always taking the chance of fumbling the ball. He had no place to go. He wrapped the football up. Come back and let's run another play.
Down to 24 seconds left in the first quarter. It's 3rd and 15. No gain on that last play. Man in motion, that's Barlow. Williams to attempt his first pass of the game. He's got his man across the middle. That's Brett Jones. He carries it to the Alexandria 45, but he's still going to be about 6 or 7 yards short of the first down.
Good job by Sachs. They ran a little delay to Jones. Did a good job catching the ball. Linebackers for Alexandria stayed in, made a good tackle. They picked up good yardage on it. I'm sure we're going to see that again.
That's the end of the first quarter. No score from Wildcat Stadium. We'll be back.
All set.
Calhoun County, Sachs, and Alexandria going at it here. We're through 1 quarter of play. No score. We've gone through a 30-minute rain delay. And both teams going to have a tough time of just holding on to the football in this one, Coach, trying to get something going on offense.
Mickey, the wind has changed during the break. Sachs had the wind behind them all during the first quarter. And now in the second quarter, they change into the field, and the breeze that is blowing is coming from behind them again.
Eric Butler does a good job of returning it back to the 21. Valley Cubs will have it 1st and 10 from there.
Stan Anderson made the tackle for Sachs. He did a good job. He was able to avoid the first couple of men that were down. Stan Anderson came up and made a good tackle.
1st and 10. Alexandria and Valley Cup fans will be interested to know coming up at halftime. We hope to have an interview with Mr. Tony Young, standout performer at Alexandria High School for many years.
Well, Tony led them to a couple of state championships, or to a state championship. You know, was also named Player of the Year in the state of Alabama in Class 4A his senior season.
Alexandria calls another timeout. No score. 11:35 left in the second quarter. As we mentioned in the open, Coach, Alexandria struggled somewhat this year. They failed to score in their first 2 football games, and they won. They're 2-2 coming into this one. Meanwhile, Sachs is 3-1, and this is a key game for both schools, I believe, because Sachs, they need to know how good they are, and Alexandria needs to get over the hump and get something going.
Well, both teams halfway through the season. They're about to start into their area of play. And as you said, they need to find just how much they've improved since the beginning of the year, and if they feel like they're going to be capable of competing in their area race this year. you hate to say this, but if you get into a situation where you can't compete or you don't feel like you can compete, after a few area games, you'll start working some extra kids in so that you'll be ready to play some next year. You don't give up on this season, but at the same time, you've got to get some kids some experience if you're not in the area race at all.
Both teams involved in very tough, competitive areas. Of course, Alexandria in there with Weaver, Mumford, Lincoln, Heflin, and Sachs has to contend with Oxford, Welborn, and Jacksonville. First and 10 for the Valley Cubs. Football at the 21. Number 74, John Upton, a little anxious. He's whistled for illegal motion. That'll cost the Valley Cubs 5 yards.
Now they have to start first and 15. Again, they haven't put the ball up at all tonight as far as throwing the football, and now you have to cover 15 yards with Sachs looking for the run. We may look for the pass here, Nick.
Well, the rain is slacked off a good bit right now. As you said, Coach, I believe it's probably going to be one of those nights where it rains off and on. Hopefully it won't rain as hard as it did in the first quarter. The pitch goes to Parker. Parker cuts it back and gets about 4 or 5 up across the 25.
Sachs did a good job of defense in the play. Parker made a good break to cut it back to pick up what he did. They'll give him 2 or 3 yards on plays because they have to cover 15 this time, make them punt from deep in their own territory. Sachs would have the opportunity to take over in good field position again. Sachs is winning the game as far as punting is concerned. Alexandria is going to have to pick up a couple of first downs to get it out of their territory, or else eventually Sachs is going to score some points.
Field position very important on a wet field like tonight. 2nd and 9. That play gained 6. This is Howard, number 24. Howard finds they're going tough, but picks up about 3 or 4.
Again, Mickey, Mike Montgomery made the stop. The young man's doing a good job. Not only does he make the stop, but when he makes the stop, he's putting a good hit on him. There's some other people involved, but primarily he stopped his forward progress. I'm very impressed with the way he's playing at linebacker.
Play gain 5. It's 3rd and 4 for the Valley Cubs. Butler comes split far to the left. 3rd and 5. McGinnis rolls. The left-hander throws downfield, overthrows Butler at the 37.
Threw it a little high, a little bit to the outside. Pretty good coverage by Sachs. Had a man going down the sideline, not down deep down the sideline, but on the outside that he possibly might have dumped the ball off to that time. I'm sure they'll mention that to him on the sidelines. If they go to throw again out of that particular formation, they'll look to the man coming out from the backfield down the sideline.
Well, Sachs looks to get good field position here. Butler will kick it from the 10. Robertson back his own 42-yard line. Butler gets away a pretty good kick. Robertson takes it at the 47, gets a block, comes near side, and he'll fight forward to the Valley Cub 46-yard line.
Mickey, every time that they've held Alexandria and taken over, they've taken over in a little bit better field position. First time inside the 30, the next time at their 49, Alexandria's 49, and this time they start at the 45 or 46. They're winning the battle of the kicking game. Both kickers are doing a good job, but Sachs is doing a little bit better job with their punting right now.
Surprised we haven't seen more of Brett Jones in the football game tonight. He's averaging just over 6 yards a carry, and in a game that's going to be won on the ground, you look to see him.
Well, Mickey, Brett received an injury last week, a deep thigh bruise, and they don't want to play him unless they just have to. Now, he'll see some action and in some situations, such as a minute ago when he came in and caught the pass. I think he could run, but that's very painful, and it's one of those situations where if he receives another lick on it, it could make him miss 2 or 3 games on down in the season. So Coach Davis cannot take a chance on playing Brett tonight. Even though he would love to win this football game, he can't take the chance on losing him for 2 or 3 more games.
Yard gain on that last carry by Slatton. It's 2nd down and 9. Williams with the eye set. Gives it to the fullback. That's Slatton again. About a yard or 2 on that carry. It's going to bring up 3rd down and long for Sachs.
It's a little bit easier for Sachs to call a passing play in this situation because of the field position again. And another thing about the punting thus far is that every time Alexandria's dropped back to punt, Sachs has applied a lot of pressure. Twice they've come very close to blocking the punt. That may come into play later on too.
3rd and 6. Williams looks to throw. Now he'll run it. He's got a chance to get his first down, and I believe he'll have it down at the 30-yard line.
Good job by Dion. The offensive line forced Alexandria's rush out to the outside. Dion was looking downfield. The man was covered. He turned it up and ran. I know he didn't see the man behind him. He might have felt a little pressure. Alexandria had a man that was very close coming in from behind him. A big play for the Wildcats. First down at the 30.
8:25 and counting left to play in the second quarter. No score so far. Sachs and Alexandria, the Anniston New Channels Calhoun County High School football game of the week. First and 10. Williams to throw again. Looking, goes across the middle, and his pass is complete to Kirkland. Kirkland carries it inside the 5. Big play, and a great catch by Kirkland.
A great catch by Kirkland. The ball really shouldn't have been thrown. I hate to say that, but the ball shouldn't have been thrown. The young man just went up and took it away from a couple of defenders for the Valley Cubs. Made a great catch, gets him down about the 2-3 yard line. Great field position. That's a great play by the young man.
We were just saying the team that took the chance and put it up first would have a chance to get a big play, and the Wildcats get it here. First and goal at the 2-yard line. Out of the wishbone. First serious threat of the football game for either team. This is the tailback, Bouchard, and he gets it close, but not quite enough.
I'll tell you what, Mickey, he's real close. I think he's probably on about the 1 yard line. Now, Sachs has had some trouble this year from in close. Last week they had 2 opportunities inside the 5 against Holt and came away with nothing. The week before that against Heflin, Cleveland County, they had a chance to punch it in from about the 2 yard line and couldn't get it in. We'll see how they do here tonight.
You saw on your screen, number 30, Brett Jones, has checked into the football game at the left halfback. Let's see if he gets the call. Second and goal. Here is Jones, and he'll have the touchdown. Brett Jones, a 1 yard scamper over the right side, and the Wildcats have gotten on the board first with 7:15 to play in the second quarter.
Mickey, you've got to credit that touchdown. Even though he didn't score the points, you've got to go back and credit that touchdown to Marcus Kirkland. That was a great catch the young man made. You don't coach people going up and taking the ball away from people the way that he did. That's just outstanding individual desire, outstanding individual effort. Because of that effort, Sachs now has 6 points and is going for the 7th one.
Shannon Robertson to attempt the point after, and it's good. 7-0. Sachs leads it midway through the second quarter. And talking about Brett Jones, who scored that touchdown, when you talk about him being out of the football game with an injury, you're losing about 77 yards a game that he averages carrying the football.
That's just his rushing, Mickey. That's just his rushing. He also averaged some more catching the football. He's a very good athlete. He's a big part of the Sachs offense. They're going to miss him, of course. As I said, they're going to spot play him. They passed to him earlier. They used him down close to the goal line. That's the type of situation they're planning on using him. Rest him as much as they can.
Steady drizzle continues to fall. Wildcat Stadium.
Just like you would want it.
Mickey, anytime you have these type of weather conditions, the first team that gets points on the board has a definite advantage. There's always a chance of turnovers, but you can play it a little safer, a little closer to the vest when you have the points and you have the lead. It's going to be interesting to see if Alexandria opens it up now and begins to throw the ball a little bit.
Low kickoff by Bryant. The Valley Cubs can't handle it. It'll be a touchback. They'll have it first and 10 at their own 20.
Mickey, a lot of teams we've seen this year are using the low line drive kick and letting it hit the ground and roll, and it's been effective for all of them that we've seen. Sachs has used it twice here tonight, both times very effectively. Of course, Anniston uses it every week and also very effectively.
First and 10 from the 20.
Coach Ginn was pacing on the sideline. Let's see what he's chosen to do.
He sends 2 men, or make it 3 men, split to the far side. Single setback. And Howard will get the call. Howard finds a lot of room over the right side. Gets it up near about the 26. He'll be about 3 or 4 short of his first down.
Rod Barlow did a good job of coming up, reacting up quickly, and making a good open field tackle that time.
Play gain 6. It'll be second down and 4. 3 men split to this side. Howard, the lone setback once again. Alexandria, well known for this formation. Howard escapes 1 man, cuts it back. Good running. Gets it up near the 30, and I believe he'll have his first down.
It was a great job by Howard to avoid 2 men on that one. 2 of them untouched. He cut it back inside, made both of them miss. He didn't pick up the first down, but the fact that he picked up anything was a good effort on his part on that play.
He is about half a yard short of his first down. They need to get it to the 30. They spot it between the 29 and 30. Short play, or short yardage, third down play coming up. McGinnis will keep it, and he'll have his first down on the quarterback sneak.
It's difficult to stop McGinnis on that play. He's a big young man, approximately 6'1", 6'2", weighs 195, 200 pounds. He's very strong. It'd be difficult to stop him for just a yard.
The official has called a timeout. We've got a heat break. 5:50. Our entire crew, who, by the way, is doing an excellent job braving the elements tonight. You've got to take your hat off to them tonight.
They were headed for cover there for a little while, though, Mickey.
They come in soaking wet, but staying with it, we appreciate it. Zach, first down, Parker with the carry, hitting the backfield by number 68, Jason Hill.
Jason Hill did a good job. He read his keys, came upfield. He had him in the backfield for a little bit of loss. Parker did a good job of running through the tackle and getting back to the line of scrimmage, but Jason Hill stopped that play even though he didn't make the tackle.
1 yard gain. It'll be 2nd and 9. Clock moving, 5:16 left before the half. Sachs leading it 7-0.
Unless Alexandria is able to pick up a big play on the running game, it's going to be difficult for them to drive it down the field at 2 and 3 yards a carry, even if they pick up their first downs in the amount of time that's left in the half, unless they start using their timeout.
This is Borders, the fullback. Big hole straight up the middle, up across the 40 to the 41. It'll be 3rd down and 4.
3rd and 4 again. An interesting call by Coach Gann for Alexandria. Whether he'll want to put it up in the air or just play it close to the vest and play it safe and then punt it and hope to hold Sachs and go in with a 7-0 deficit.
3rd and 4. Big play for the Cubs. McGinnis keeps it on the sneak, and he spins his way for the first down.
Tell you what,
call.
That was a pretty safe play, Mickey, but at the same time, it's a very good play. I'm sure he had seen something in the defense with the split forward. No one's covering the center. The center made a good block to his right. Steve ran the ball a little bit off of that block and was able to pick up his first down. That's a big first down, Mickey.
Safe play in the rain, but you don't usually see a sneak on 3rd and 4, but it worked that time for Coach Gann and the Cubs. 1st and 10 at their own 47. They got about 4 minutes before halftime to try to put some points on the board. Trailing it 7-0. McGinnis will look to throw. The lefty goes downfield, and his pass will be picked off across the 40. Up near midfield is number 47, Rod Barlow.
Barlow's one of the captains this week. Mickey, there's a penalty flag down on the field. I'm not sure who this is again. Steve threw the ball way over his intended receiver's head. Barlow set back, picked it up, picked it off, and ran the ball back up the sideline. The penalty seems to be against Sachs, Mickey.
Probably after the interception. Usually see a clipping call in a situation like that. By the way, McGinnis has thrown 61 times this year. He's completed 36 for 309 yards, but he isn't having much of an opportunity to get anything started in the air tonight.
Well, the only thing that concerns both Steve McGinnis and Coach Gann is the fact that Steve's thrown 5 interceptions this year. Of course, now that makes it 6. He was fortunate here that Sachs had a penalty on the run back, so thus they'll have poor field position, but he's got to get the ball down. Of course, the weather conditions are going to come into play a lot tonight, but last week he was overthrowing his receivers some in the first half, came back in the second half and threw the ball great and led them back for a 17-14 win.
You saw just a moment ago it was clipping against Sachs. It's 1st and 10. This is the fullback. Big hole for number 22, Keith Slayton, up near the 40.
I tell you what, Slayton runs the ball well and yet has both hands on the football. Most of the time, if you see a kid wrap the ball up like he's doing, he doesn't run the ball very well. But Slayton's the exception to that rule. He's holding on to the football with both hands, which is what coach would want him to do in this type of condition, and yet he's still running the ball very hard.
First down on that carry. Brett Jones has checked into the game at tailback. 1st and 10 at the 39. Williams will give it to Slayton, the fullback, and he fights his way for about 2. First man there for Alexandria with big number 74, John Upton.
Mickey, I expect Sachs to throw the ball. They have good field position here. There's only 3 minutes to go before halftime. I don't think they can use 3 minutes to get into the end zone. I think it would take them longer than that if they just run the football. Even though they've had some success here, I expect to see them pass either this play or the next one.
Rain is falling once again. 2nd down and 7. Williams will give it to Jones. Jones tries to cut it outside, but he can't. Man on the stop is number 39 for the Valley Cubs. That is, which we don't have listed in the program tonight.
No,
we always have a mystery man every week.
Well, Mickey, I missed it on that one, so he's got to throw this time if he's going to make me look good up here. I do expect him to put the football in the air, try to take advantage of this good field position and throw. Then again, though, he may just decide to sit on it and go in with a 7-0 lead.
Barlow in motion. That play lost 2. It's 3rd and 9. Williams across the middle for Robertson. He's got him. Loses the football. They'll call it an incomplete pass.
It's a great job by Alexandria's linebacker. I thought he came up with the catch. They ruled that it was an incomplete, but he did a good job of grabbing hold of his arm and actually forcing the football out of his arm. It's a good job by the defensive linebacker after an excellent throw and excellent route by Sachs' quarterback and receiver.
Robertson had it in his hands. Would have been right at the 1st down marker. Sachs will have to punt it away. Butler goes back to receive. Alexandria putting 10 men on the line of scrimmage. They'll come after this one. Good rush, but Robertson gets it away. A low line drive kick. They'll be down at the 25-yard line.
Mickey, yesterday when I spoke with Coach Davis, he had a lot of accolades and praise for his receiving corps. And after watching him just for the short period of time that we've been able to see him today, even though it's been bad weather conditions, his receiving corps is definitely very, very good. They run their routes very well. They catch the football very well. His offensive line is giving Deion Williams a lot of time, and he throws the ball well. I can see why they're averaging almost as much through the air as they are running the ball this year.
Minute 35 left before the half. Alexandria 1st and 10 out of the eye. McGinnis will look to throw. Rolls to his right. Now he'll run it, and he'll get nothing. Good play on the far side by number 62, Daniel McCain. A loss of 4 on that one. It'll be 2nd down and 14.
Mickey, they came out and were going to throw on 1st down. It wouldn't surprise me now if they don't sit on it and just go into the half with a 7-0 lead, 7-0 deficit after having no success in actually losing 4 yards on that play.
2nd and 14 from the far hash mark. McGinnis with 3 men split to the right. Howard the lone setback. He'll get the call straight up the middle. Tripped up, knocked down at the 24.
If at all possible, Alexandria would love not to have to punt with the ball deep in their own territory and the conditions wet like they are. There's always that chance, dropping the snap, not being able to get the kickoff, and giving Sachs some more points right here, right before the half. So if he can, I'm sure they'll try to run the clock out here.
Under a minute. 54 seconds. Alexandria 3rd and 9. McGinnis will make it. Butler at quarterback on the pitch to Howard. He fumbles the football. Sachs picks it up, and they'll have a touchdown. Can you believe that? Number 62, Daniel McCain, Johnny on the spot, picked the loose ball up, carried it in for the score.
Mickey, it was a good job by McCain to pick the ball up and carry it in for the score, but whoever put the hit on the man that had the football was the one that receives the credit here. I'm not sure who that was, but it's an excellent hit. Alexandria ran what you would think would be a safe play, the little push pass, which if it's missed is an incomplete pass. They had a little bit of success from it. They were not going to be able to pick up the 1st down, but a good hit was applied to him, and he fumbled the football, allowed Sachs to pick up 7 more.
Butler was the quarterback on that one as well. There was a flag thrown. We'll wait the call from the official. Unsportsmanlike conduct against Sacks, I guess, for celebrating a little bit too much after that play.
I would imagine, Mickey. There's no way for us to know from up here, but I would imagine that would be what the call was. It's going to be difficult for Alexandria to work their way back now with these type conditions. They're going to have to put the ball up. I'm not sure, but what Coach Ginn may have to have a lot of chalk work when they go in. Of course, Coach Davis is talking to him. He wants to find out exactly what the call was. He knows it was for unsportsmanlike conduct, but exactly who the call was on, exactly what was said, so that he can either correct it when he goes to the dressing room if it was one of his players at fault, or maybe if the officials were at fault, he can get it changed.
Coach Davis will call a timeout to discuss that call with the official. Timeout on the field. Sachs leads it at the moment, 13-0. Extra point attempt coming up for the Wildcats. They'll spot it at the 25, 35-yarder. Kirkland will attempt it. He's got enough leg, and he just does miss it. Kirkland put a foot into that one.
I'll tell you what, he had plenty of distance. He would have been good for 15 yards farther back, a little bit off to the right. That young man has plenty of distance on his kick.
So the score remains 13-0 with 39 seconds left to play before the half.
Mickey, I'd expect Sachs just to squib the ball down, let one of these front men have the ball, tackle them. They still have Alexandria backed up in poor field position, but I doubt if they'll kick it deep and allow them an opportunity to run the football back. They haven't had any success returning their kickoffs, but I don't even think they'll take a chance on this one. Just kick the ball kind of short, squib it down the field, allow your coverage to have good coverage, keep a couple of men back as safeties, and try to go in with this 13-0 lead at halftime.
Number 8, Danny Worrell, or Royale, will kick it off. Howard back deep for the Valley Cubs, if it gets to him. Royale will kick it on the ground. It'll be taken by an up man at the 25. Page comes back upfield across the 35 to the 37. Ellison on the stop. 34 seconds. And I bet the Valley Cubs will probably just sit on this one here, but you never know.
Well, Mickey, regardless, even if you choose to put it up, if you put it up deep, there's really not that big a risk involved. The thing that Alexandria has to do now is go back into the dressing room, come up with a little bit of a plan as far as how they're going to throw the football, because early they had a lot of success running the football, and I think Sachs had to play against the run and the pass. Now, because of weather conditions, Sachs is primarily playing nothing but the run. It's going to be difficult for Alexandria to score 13, 14 points doing nothing but running the ball with Sachs playing the run.
McGinnis lays it up for Butler. Good defensive play by Shannon Robertson to get in the way of that one. Goes incomplete. It'll be second down. That play took 10 seconds off the clock. 24 seconds left before halftime.
Sachs is in a prevent defense. They have a lot of people playing deep. They might even allow Alexandria to catch the ball up short, but they're not going to give them anything deep. Steve just threw the ball up, hopefully trying to, if they did make the catch, the boy could get out of bounds, stop the clock.
3 men split to the right. McGinnis will raise up, throw for Butler. Butler will catch it and go out of bounds just short of the 45. That play took 6 seconds. It'll be third down and about 2.
Sachs is not going to give up the big play, or at least their alignment is not going to give up the big play, because they're certainly lining up deep enough. Alexandria's not really trying to take the deep play. They're hitting the people on the sideline, trying to get people out of bounds, maybe try to hit somebody and then turn it up the field for a big game.
Power I set on 3rd and 2. The pitch goes to Parker, back to McGinnis. He's going to throw for Butler downfield, and Butler makes a catch and drops it at the 21. Very well executed play that time. Make that number 86 for Alexandria. Joe Cargill was the intended receiver.
I tell you what, that was a great play. Sachs and myself also thought all they were going to do was hand it off, run out the clock. Instead, he pitches it back to McGinnis. He throws the ball deep, overthrew him possibly just a little bit. The young man was wide open. Had he been able to make the catch and keep his feet, he scores on the play. Gave great effort to lay out for the football, was not able to hang on.
And been able to hold on, it'd have been in field goal range. 4th and 2. Alexandria will line up and go for it. McGinnis on the sneak. He'll get the first down. Clock stopped now with, well, the clock continues to move. And now they'll stop it with 2 seconds. And it's a first down.
After they set the change, though, the clock will restart unless they used a timeout, which apparently they did.
Obviously they did. There is a... No, they start the clock back up. Oh, wait a minute. The official is confused. Now he'll say put 2 seconds back on the clock. There was a timeout. The official started to start the clock. And then he saw Coach Ginn in the huddle with his players and said, wait a minute.
He got as confused as you did just then. Stop. I don't think the head official realized there was a timeout called. After a first down in high school, you restart the clock after the ball is set ready for play, and that's what he did, but he did not realize that Coach Ginn had called a timeout.
Well, now the clock shows 3 zeros. I'll put 2 seconds back up.
Coach Glenn Toney on the sideline talking with one of his linemen. Coach Toney works with the offensive line. He does a good job with them. They've done an excellent job thus far tonight. I'm sure he'll have to be pleased with their performance so far.
By the way, how are you enjoying stats so far?
I'll have to admit, I've really enjoyed teaching over here. Of course, it's a lot different just teaching than teaching and coaching, but I've really enjoyed it here.
All right, 1st and 10. This will be the last play of the half. McGinnis will drop back and probably just air it out. Lays it up. And the pass will be incomplete. So that'll end it. The first half is over for Wildcat Stadium. Your score, Sachs leads it 13-0. And coming up at halftime, we hope to chat with Tony Young, former standout for Alex. Second half underway. Good kickoff. Brett Jones takes it at the 1. Comes straight back up the field. Has a hole and fights his way up to the 27-yard line. So Mr. Jones getting some action here in the second half, returning the kickoff.
Well, I'll tell you what, Mickey, you can tell that they miss not having him in there every play on offense. They're using him sparingly, but you can tell by the way he runs the football. The young man has a lot of talent. He hit it up in there real hard. That'd just be another weapon that they could use offensively.
Spotted at the 28, 1st and 10. Rain continues to steadily fall. Caused a lot of folks to go home, probably watching our broadcast, or our telecast. Slayton, the fullback, maybe a yard, up close to the 30. By the way, the telecast comes on Saturday mornings at 9 o'clock, and then if you miss it on Saturday, you can catch it Sunday afternoon at 5 o'clock on Channel 7.
Mickey, that was a good play by Chad Adams for Alexandria. He did a good job of hanging on that time. He didn't have the great position for the tackle, but he did a good job of hanging on and keeping that to a real short gain.
2nd down and 9, out of the I set. Slayton again, hit right at the line of scrimmage, but falls forward for about 3.
Slayton ran the ball hard. Again, he wraps the ball up as well as anybody I've ever seen. If he fumbles, it'll really surprise me. He has both hands on the football and yet is able to run the ball hard.
It'll be 3rd down and about 5 coming up for Sachs. Ball at the 33-yard line. Kirkland and Robertson split to the near side for the Wildcats. Williams will throw, being pressured, gets his pass away. He's got his man. That's Bouchard, and Bouchard is thrown out of bounds at the 45, and a flag is thrown.
Mickey, I believe they're going to either call unnecessary roughness or hitting him out of bounds, one or the other, to add 15 yards onto this. That was a great play by Deion Williams. He set in to the very last second, released the ball, and was able to complete it for a big gain. Of course, it's going to add even more when they tack on the penalty. That's a great job by the young quarterback. Normally, high school quarterbacks have kind of jumpy feet when people start getting that close to them, and the tendency is to drop the ball down, duck the ball, and want to run. When you do that, you can forget throwing the ball to receivers on the routes. Are going to have to break off the patterns. He sat in there, knew he was going to get hit, sat in, delivered the ball, the big gain.
Williams has thrown the football a lot so far this season, 45 of 87 for 569 yards before tonight. 1st and 10 at the 39-yard line. I set once again. Now flag is thrown before the play.
Probably illegal procedure. That one started before the snap of the football. It's a dead ball foul.
It is illegal procedure against the Wildcats. They'll move it back 5. Be 1st and 15.
Mickey, one thing about this opening drive, Sachs is having no problem throwing the football. Dion threw the ball well his first pass. Maybe Alexandria, when they take over, won't have any problem, and both teams will be able to do what they would like offensively as far as play calling is concerned. Of course, both defenses don't want them to be able to do what they'd like, but at least as far as play calling is concerned, perhaps they'll be able to do that.
1st and 10 from the right hash mark. Williams will give it to Slayton, the fullback. And he's tripped up by number 60. His own man, Jason Childs. A pickup of 4.
Wasn't a lot there. I'm not sure anybody really made the tackle, but there was such a big pile he had no place to go, Mick.
One of the nights where you have to put a towel over the football before every snap to try to keep it as dry as you can.
You put the towel over it, but it's still wet, because when you lay it down on the ground, actually the part that hits the quarterback's hand is soaking wet when he gets the ball.
2nd down. Pitch goes to Bouchard, hemmed up in the backfield, breaks away from Parker and finds a lot of room. Gets it down inside the 20 to the 15-yard line.
It's a good run by Bouchard, excellent run by Bouchard. Not only did he make the man miss early, but he also made some other people miss. Kept his feet driving, almost broke the thing for a touchdown. Poor tackling by Alexandria on the play. They're going to have to get a little fired up, a little excited about playing this football game in adverse conditions if they're planning on coming back in this one.
Parker's got to be hitting himself in the head. He had Bouchard hemmed up in the backfield, let him get away. 1st and 10 at the 16-yard line.
Boy, that's made coaches gray-headed right there, Mickey. You have a 5-yard loss and it turns into a 25-yard gain.
1st down. I said once again, Sachs doing it on the ground. Williams gives it to Slayton, the fullback. Slayton, good hard running down close to the 10-yard line. Upton there to make the stop.
Alexandria ended up getting a lot of people, in on the tackle, but initially the first man that got to Slayton missed the tackle again. He came up, had a good lick on him, but he didn't wrap up. Slayton kept his legs moving, was able to pick up 8 or 9 yards. Make that 5 or 6 yards, Mickey. I don't think he got 8 or 9. I made your call tough on you that time, didn't I?
You know how trouble I have every time trying to see where the ball's spotted. 2nd down and about 4. The pitch will go to Bouchard, and he's in trouble again, and he won't get away from number 24, Howard.
I thought he had made the little dip and was going to be able to get out around him outside wide. Howard did a good job hanging on and making the tackle for a loss that time. Identical play to the one coming to this side previously that he was able to avoid the first tackle and pick up the big gain.
It is a loss of about 3 or 4. It's going to be 3rd and 9 from the 16.
Some way Alexandria has to stop Sachs on this drive. They can't even give up a field goal if they intend to get back in on this game. Sachs is already in field goal position. They've got to, for certain, stop the touchdown.
Kirkland, Jones, and Robertson split to the right. Williams rolls that way. Got some pressure, and he throws it up for grabs. No one there. Big rush by number 81, Jason Dowdy, Upton, and a couple other Valley Cub defenders.
Mickey, there's a penalty flag way downfield, close to the line of scrimmage. It's not going to be grounding the football. It's going to be holding on one team or the other. Alexandria's fans thought they might have been a grounding call on that. There was a receiver in the vicinity. I don't know how close in the vicinity he was. Number 22 was in the vicinity, though. Officials chose not to call intentional grounding.
Sachs shooting themselves in the foot here. They had it down at the 10. Now they've got it all the way back at the 25, and they call a timeout. 7:41 left of the 3rd quarter. The Wildcats lead down and 20 from the 25.
Well, Mickey, one thing about it, we know that Sachs is in field goal range from here because we saw Kirkland kick earlier. Even though he missed it a little bit to the right, he had plenty of distance, and that was from the 25, and it would have been good from, say, the 35 or so. So we know he has the legs to try a field goal even from this position.
Williams fakes it to the fullback, throws it out for Bouchard, and he can't throw it.
It's a fumble, Mickey.
Alexandria's on it, and they'll have the football. It was a lateral, and a big mistake for the Wildcats. Now they have no shot at any points.
Mickey threw the ball laterally or behind him, The officials did not blow the football. You knew right away that they had ruled it a lateral. Alexandria hustled to the football, was able to recover it. Maybe that's a big play. It'll need to get them going. Again, poor field position, but at least they dodged the bullet there, and they still have a chance to get back in this football game.
1st and 10 from the 30. Steady drizzle continues. Alexandria trailing it by 2 touchdowns, 13-0. McGinnis will give it to Howard. Howard straight up the middle, across the 35 to the 36. A gain of 6. It'll be 2nd and 4.
Well, I see Coach Ginn has not strayed from his game plan. Gone back trying to establish his running game. I'm sure he'll try to mix the pass in a little bit more. There's plenty of time to go in the ball game. There's probably going to be a big play for one team or the other. Again, concerning weather conditions. Somebody's going to turn the ball over because of the weather conditions. Both teams have done very well not doing that early, but somebody's going to make that mistake. If it's sacks, it'll allow Alexandria to get back in the game.
Well, Alexandria needs a big play. They hadn't got anything going all night. Howard in motion. Again, it's pitches to Howard. Howard gets a block on the corner, tripped up by Cook, but not before he gets his first down up across the 40 to the 42.
It's a good play. Chad Cotton came up and was in on the tackle also. Howard runs the ball real hard, though. I tell you, with a sophomore running the ball that hard, Mickey, Coach Ginn's going to have a good runner for 2 more years.
1st and 10 at the 41. This is the first man through, and he is stuck. Carrying the football was Todd Borders, and he was really nailed.
Boy, that's a good job by the entire front 8 for sack. Initially, they stopped up the hole. He had to bounce it off and try to move to his right. Great pursuit from the outside. Came up and applied a good hit, a host of sacks defenders.
Now the Heat timeout comes at 5:59 left in the 3rd quarter. We'll take another break. We'll be right back into Zip. It's been all sacks so far. Alexandria looking at 2nd and 8 from their own 42. Wishbone set. Man in motion. Pitch goes to Parker. Parker gets hit or tripped up right away by Ellison, but he falls forward for a few yards.
Coach Davis has to be pleased when he looks at the film tomorrow when he sees how many people he's getting around the football. His team's doing a good job of hustling to the football. If Alexandria is able to break one tackle, there's a lot more Wildcat defenders getting to the football. That's a good job of coaching, a good job of effort on the part of the Wildcat.
Coach Jay Davis hoping his defense can stand up and stop the Valley Cups here. 3rd and a long 5 from the 46. McGinnis will give it to the fullback. That is Borders, and Borders is going to be hit short of the first down.
Again, good defense by the Wildcat. A lot of people are getting in on the tackle. He was going at the point of attack, had to bounce it out because there was nothing there. Again, Sachs held the position, slid down the line, held him for a short gain.
4th and 4 coming up.
Mickey, in the first half, Sachs was putting a lot of pressure on the punter. Let's see if they do it here again.
I believe that's Cargill into punt. Short kick. Not a very good one at all. And it'll be marked down at the 35-yard line.
Mickey, you know Coach Ginn was hoping that he would back Sachs up after having good field position at midfield, hoping he could back them up and hold them and then get good field position for his team. He missed the punt a little bit. It went off the side of his foot. Sachs starts in good field position again at the 35. Even if they don't pick up any first downs here, the way they've been punting the football, Alexandria will have to start deep in their own territory. If Sachs can pick up a couple of first downs, it'll really back Alexandria up.
First down. Williams gives it to Bouchard. He's tripped up right away, but gains 2 or 3.
Mickey, I think Sachs has gotten a little confidence in themselves with the little bit of success that they've had, both here in the second half and the little bit they had in the first half. Their offensive line's coming off the ball a little bit better. Bouchard's hitting the ball up in there a little bit better. They only picked up 2 yards on that, but they're really coming off the football. Don't be surprised if they don't start moving the ball a little bit on the ground.
Play gain 2. It's 2nd down and 8. Williams will give it to Bouchard again. and he's met right away. I believe Butler was there, along with Kirby. They'll lose about a yard. It'll be 3rd and 9.
Good play by Alexandria's defense. They tried the little inside trap. The man that was trying to be trapped stood his ground. He was not moved any. Allowed the linebacker to come up, not to have to cover a very big gap. He made a good tackle.
Down to 3 minutes to play in the 3rd quarters. Alexandria trying to hold here and get the football back. 3rd and 9. Williams to throw. A lot of pressure. Gets the screen away to Jones. Jones got some open field in front of him, but gets hit and knocked down at the 40. Good job by Don Hill to come up and meet Jones and knock him down before he could get up ahead of steam.
Good job by Hill. That play looked like it had a lot of room in front of it. Deion Williams did a good job at quarterback of giving ground until Jones could break open. Had he not given ground, he had never been able to throw the ball, and it had been a big loss for the Wildcats. Instead, he gave a little bit of ground, was able to dump the ball, almost broke for a big play for them.
Robertson will kick it from his 27. Good snap. Pretty good rush, but he gets it away. Butler back to receive. Will pick it up and come forward to about the 20. He tripped up by Andy Picton.
Again, the kicking game comes into play. A good kick, a good roll. The young man fielded the ball. They start at the 20-yard line, Mickey. They haven't had very good field position the entire night.
42-yard punt that time for Robertson. And it does back Alexandria back to their 20, 1st and 10. 2 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. Valley Cubs have been held scoreless so far, trailing Sacs 13-0. This is the fullback, Borders. Hit hard, but not before he gains about 3.
Ben Bang came up and made the tackle. Robertson had only been averaging 33 and a half yards per punt coming into tonight's game. Tonight he's averaged almost 39, 40 yards per punt under adverse conditions. So he's played a very big part in this game tonight.
A guy like Ben Bang, you got to put him on defense, you know.
I tell you what, the way he came up and hit then, not only because of his name, but because of the way he came up and hit.
2nd down and 7 from the 23. McGinnis throws downfield for Howard. He's got him at the 47-yard line and knocked out of bounds up near midfield.
Good time for Steve that time. His offensive line provided good time. He laid the ball over one of the defenders. Howard made a good catch. Big gain for the Valley Cubs. Finally, they get out of the shadows of their own goal line. They're out about midfield now. Let's see if they can get something out of this drive.
1st and 10 from their own 47. Not out of it by any means. 13-0. A score, you're in it, and then another score, you win it.
Mickey, they're definitely in it, but time is going to come into play if they're not able to do something on this drive.
McGinnis sets up the Butler screen pass. He's got a block, crosses midfield, down to the Sacs 42-yard line. Another well-executed play.
Very well executed, but it didn't pick up as much as it looked like it might. It was good reaction by the Sacs defense. They picked up the 1st down. They're opening up their offense, but it was still good reaction by the defense after being caught out of position early.
Looks like the official will call for the change so that they can measure here. They'll bring them across. I believe he got it. Let's see. Got it by a football's length. 1st down.
That may be the first time I've called one right on the initial play this year, Mickey, but he did pick up his 1st down. Alexander's best field position they've had tonight. Maybe they can get something in here, make this into a very close ball game.
1st and 10 at the 42. Under a minute to play in the 3rd quarter. Alexandria spreads people out all over the field. 1st and 10. McGinnis lays it up for Butler. And good defensive play on the left side that time by Cook, number 17.
It's an excellent defense by Chris Cook. He went up, attacked the football at its highest point, knocked it away, and almost came up with the interception. Simple play on offense. Just let your receiver go down the field on a little fade route, lay the ball up. If he's able to come up one-on-one against a defender, you get a big game out of the play, possibly break it for a touchdown.
Second and 10 after the incompletion. 30 seconds left in the third quarter. Alexandria spreads it out once again. 3 men. Split to the far side. McGinnis rolls to throw. Will throw it downfield and almost connects with Cargill at the 7, but Cargill can't hold on.
Cargill made a good effort to catch the ball. I don't know that he would be able to keep a foot in bounds had he made the catch, but he had an excellent effort on the ball. It looked like the man crossing might be open early. Steve had to run and was off balance and couldn't throw the ball to the man that was coming across.
Third down and 10.
It's a big play for the Valley Cubs. They need to get something out of this drive. Only 23 seconds before the start of the fourth quarter, Mickey. They're going to make a comeback. They need to get some points here.
McGinnis will pitch it to Howard. Back to McGinnis. McGinnis gets hit, but throws it up for Butler. Butler slips on the wet field, and it will go incomplete.
Mickey, we saw that play earlier. The man was wide open. Again, he was wide open. Pressure on McGinnis that time. He was able to release the football. His man, had he been able to keep his feet, would have definitely come up with a catch. The wet field, his feet came out from under him. Instead, they get nothing on the play. That's twice they've had a man wide open on the play and ended up with nothing on the play.
Good pressure by one of the Wildcat defenders. I'm not sure who it was, but he hit McGinnis right as he threw the football.
Cargill needs to get off a good punt here if they intend to get some type of field position if they're able to hold Sack.
They're going to fake it. The up man takes it, tries to pitch it to Cargill, and Cargill is going to be knocked down well short of the first down.
Mickey, again, the weather conditions come into play. They faked the punt, running an option to the right side. Cargill was open as the option man. Quarterback went to pitch, and because the ball was wet, threw the ball out on the ground. Cargill did a good job of scooping it up, had one man to beat, and he still would have picked up the first down, but he wasn't able to do it.
And that will do it for the third quarter. We're through 3 from Wildcat Stadium. Sachs goes into the fourth quarter, leading at 13-0. We'll be back to Wildcat gain of about 8 on that play.
Close to a late hit, Mickey, and Alexandria certainly couldn't afford that. Sachs already has good field position now at midfield. Had they added 15 onto that, it'd been down to the 35. They were fortunate that they didn't throw a flag on that play.
Second down and 2 coming up.
Young man didn't drop his head, or I'm sure they would have called a penalty on that play. He kept his head up, so they didn't call spearing on him. It was just a little bit late, though.
Ball right at midfield. On second and short, Bouchard gets the call, has his first down to the Valley Cup 46-yard line.
Tell you what, Bouchard's carrying the ball very well again here in the fourth quarter, Mickey. He hits the ball up in there real well. He wraps the ball up. All of Sack's runners are wrapping the football up. They don't want to give up the turnover. They're in very good position in this football game. The only thing that can hurt them now is the turnover. They're wrapping the ball up well.
First and 10. New set of downs for the Wildcats. They'd love to keep the clock moving, leading at 13-0. Bouchard, same play. Cuts it up. He's nailed at the 45. Big hit for Alexandria. 64, Bobby Welch made the big hit.
Well, I tell you what, Bobby Welch came up and really applied a hit to him on that one. There were some other Alexandria defenders in the vicinity, but Welch came up and applied a lick on that one.
Play gain 1 yard, second down and 9.
Sachs has been able to throw the ball. They've had a little success running the ball. They make you defend against more than one aspect of their offense. That puts a lot of pressure on the defense.
Kirkland in motion. Williams downfield, and the pass is intercepted. Let's see who picked it off. I believe that's Butler at the 29-yard line.
Well, I tell you what, that was a good catch by Butler. Big play for the Valley Cubs. Again, time is a factor, Mickey. There's only 10 minutes remaining in the game. The weather conditions came into play again. The ball was wet. It slipped out of his hand just a little bit, but that was a great catch by Butler.
Alexandria gets another chance. Time is their enemy, however. 10 minutes to play in the game. Got a long way to go. First and 10 at the 29. Three-man split to the near side. McGinnis will probably start throwing it a lot. He loses a snap, jumps back on it, though. So a wasted down that time. Wet football.
Mickey, not only is it a wasted down, which is bad enough, you also lose time off the clock. They started with 10 minutes. It's already down to 9:35, and they haven't even gotten out of the huddle yet. You lost almost a minute simply on that one play.
Well, I tell you what, there's some mammoth moths here tonight, or whatever those things are.
You know, it's surprising. The rain has really brought those things out, hasn't it?
Come flying in here. They got some weight on them. Second down. A loss of 1 on that one. 11 for the first down. Pass is intended for Howard. It's incomplete. Will bring up a 3rd down and long.
Again, the ball was thrown a little bit high. Had the receiver not been able to get a hand on it, it would have been an easy interception for the Wildcat.
9:13 to play in the football game. Still scoreless so far in the second half. Sachs picking up 2 touchdowns in the first half. 3rd down and 11. McGinnis will roll to his right. Throws against his body for Howard. Makes the catch at the 49, and Cook knocks him out of bounds there, but it's a first down.
Boy, that was a big play for the Cubs. A good throw by McGinnis rolling to his left. Of course, he's left-handed, but you still have to throw the ball a little across your body when you're rolling out this way. Good route by Howard and an excellent catch by the young man.
It'll be a first down at the 48 for the Valley Cubs.
Mickey, I know very well that you can't count this team out. We had a 14-point lead on them with only 2 minutes to go in the ball game last year, and they were able to come back and tie it up. We ended up scoring with just a few seconds to go and won the football game, but they are definitely a threat to make a comeback on them.
They run the same play they ran earlier, and good pursuit by number 62, Daniel McCain. He hits McGinnis way behind the line of scrimmage. A big, big loss.
Well, the 3rd time was the charm for Sack. They dodged the bullet twice on that play. That time they were able to put some pressure on McGinnis. He dodged the initial pressure, but they caught him for a big loss, an almost 10-yard loss on the play, Mickey.
2nd down and 18 from the Valley Cub 40. McGinnis will give it to Parker. Parker slips and falls at the 41.
Well, again, Mickey, and I hate to keep saying this, but again, the field conditions comes into play. A good block, a good kick-out block by Alexandria on that one. Parker had a lot of room to run the ball up inside the block. He lost his footing when he made his break. Another big play possibly gone awry, Mickey.
Play gained a yard. 3rd and 17 coming up. Now line up in the eye. McGinnis will look to throw. Throws it up, and it's nearly intercepted. Number 21, Ben Bang, had his hands on it, and can't believe he didn't hang on to that one.
Well, I tell you, the same reason he couldn't hang on to it was the reason that Steve couldn't throw it. The ball has to be wet. The ball came out of his hand. It was just like he was thrown straight up in the air, Mickey. The receiver never had a chance to catch that ball.
It'll be 4th down.
When you throw a wet football, it's completely different from throwing one when it's dry. You actually have to do something that's the opposite of what you're taught. You're taught to come over and follow through and ending up with your thumb down. And when the ball is wet, you actually have to throw it kind of like a curveball and let it slide off your fingertip. It's a complete different method of throwing the football.
They fake the punt again. They execute it this time, but they're going to be short of the first down of about 3 yards.
Well, Mickey, you know Coach Ginn's a little desperate now when you fake the punt with that much yardage to gain. But they feel like with only 7 minutes and a half left to go in the game, they had to do something to try to pick up first down on this play and take it in and get some points on this drive. They weren't able to do it. Now they're going to have to hope their defense can come up with another turnover. I'm sure Sack's going to keep the ball on the ground, try to run out the clock. If Alexandria comes back now, it'll be a small miracle, Mickey.
1st and 10 at the 45. In the wishbone, Williams will pitch it to Jones, who's in the game now. Jones cuts it up and picks up about 3 to the 43-yard line.
They've used Jones very sparingly tonight. Of course, he has an injury, a deep thigh bruise. They've made it thus far through the game. A little surprised to see him in, but, you know, Coach Davis knows the extent of his injuries a lot better than we do. but they don't want to lose him for later on in the year.
2nd down and 7 from the 43-yard line. Now Sachs sends 3 men split to the right. Williams will give it to the single setback. That's the fullback. Big hole for Slayton. He is dragged down from behind at the 5-yard line. A touchdown saving tackle by number 21, Kevin Gardner.
A good job by Coach Davis. He split all his people out to one side. Basically, you knew he was going to keep the ball on the ground. His offensive line came up and created a wall between them and the Alexandria defender. Slayton got the ball, ran it hard. Nobody touched him, Mickey, till he got down to the 10-yard line. That's the first time I've seen him take both hands off the football. He actually, when he broke out in the open field that time, just ran with one. Good job by the young man.
You got to love the way he runs hard and does hold on with 2 hands.
As a coach, you love it when a man doesn't fumble.
And he gets it this time and powers his way in, standing for the touchdown.
I believe that one put it out of reach, Mickey.
So Slayton, after the long run, carries it in for the touchdown, and he deserved it. 19-0.
Mickey Sachs has come up with all the big plays tonight. Of course, hard work is what makes those big plays happen. They've come up with all the big plays tonight. The kicking game has played a large part in it. The weather conditions have played a large part in it. But Sachs has improved since early in the year. They're going to have a good football team before this thing's over with.
They go for 2 passes, incomplete, are picked off. So the score will remain 19-0 with 6:15 to play in the football game.
Mickey, I said they're going to have a good football team before it's over. They have a good football team right now. A win tonight will move them to 4-1, which is a little bit of a surprise for most people around. I know Coach Davis wasn't that surprised with it. He has a senior ball club. Even though a lot of these people didn't play on his team last year, he has 20 seniors. He's excited about the 4-1 start, but he feels like his season gets a little tougher in the second half. Of course, Wellborn, Oxford, and Jacksonville are included in that, and that's his area game. He also has to play Steilacoga, who's rated in the top 5 right now in the state in Class 5A.
They started off the season beating Weaver, then they lost to Heflin, and then they turned around and beat Lineville and Holt, and they're going to beat Alexandria tonight, as you said, to go 4-1. Meanwhile, the Valley Cubs will drop to 2-3, and they lost to Jacksonville to open the year. They lost to J.B. Pennington, then they beat Hanley, and they beat Piedmont in a come-from-behind effort last week, but it looks as though they're going to lose this one tonight.
I think this one's out of reach, especially in these conditions. But Alexandria, again, may be in the area race before this is over with. The 4A Area 11 race, I'm not sure it's as strong as it was last year as far as all the way through. I know it's not as balanced. Alexandria's down from what they were last year. Weaver's not quite as strong, I don't think. You lose a player like James Young, even though his brother's there, he doesn't have as much experience. James was Player of the Year in Class 4A through 6A.
And you lose Steve McGinnis.
Yeah, you lose Steve McGinnis, which is something that the other team has to defend against because he has a strong arm. Of course, tonight we haven't been able to see that because the ball's wet and he hasn't been able to throw the ball.
Sachs will kick it off. Drew Bryant will kick it. It's a high, fairly deep kick taken by Howard at the 15. Howard breaks it open and gets a pretty good return up to the 36-yard line.
Good job of blocking by the Valley Cubs. Howard was one man away from breaking that for a touchdown. That was a good job by them, even though they're down 19-0. It was a good job by their kickoff return team of finding their man, staying with their blocks, and creating a gap for them to hit it up through. Mickey, we talked a little bit about the 4A race. Also involved in that are the two probably strong teams involved right now. You would think Mumford and Heflin have to be the favorites going into it. Of course, Weaver and Mumford play tonight. The winner of that one will definitely have the early advantage.
1st and 10, McGinnis looks to throw downfield and throws incomplete, intended for, I believe, Cargill.
One of the better passes he's thrown tonight, but because it made the receiver have to stretch out a little bit, the ball's wet, he was not able to hang on to it.
Of course, we'll be coming to you again next weekend, and Coach, tell us who we might possibly have on the New Channel's Game of the Week next week.
Mickey, I tell you, there's a lot of possibilities. We may be back at Anniston. They host Gadsden. Wellborn hosts Gunnersville, and then there's an outside possibility if we're able to use the facilities, the lights and things, with Ohatchee hosting Weaver.
Chris Parker in motion. Now McGinnis throws to the other side for Butler. And Butler gets tripped up at the 41-yard line.
Tell you, Mickey, one thing that you can definitely tell, and again, it may have to do with the field conditions, but you can tell that Alexandria is missing that speed that they've had the past few years. I'm not taking anything away from these players, but they don't have that real speedster that they've had for the last 4 or 5 years.
Big possession play coming up. 3rd and 3 from the 43. 3rd and 4, we'll call it. Parker in motion once again, limping. McGinnis will keep it on the sneak, and he's going to be close to his first down. Coach, you're a popular fella here tonight, you know it?
Well, most of these people I see during the day all day long. I've really enjoyed it over here. There's some nice students, nice faculty. They've really treated me well here, Mickey.
They must like you, too.
They don't know me very well.
They don't know you very well. You haven't been here long enough. They're going to bring the chains over to measure. Going to be very close, maybe a little short. They'll stretch them out, and it is short.
Mickey, what you said about them not knowing me, so they still like me, because I tell you what, they don't have nearly as many reasons not to like me when you're not involved in coaching. In coaching, you're always going to have some type of controversy. Regardless of what you do, you're not going to be able to please everybody, and of course that's not what you try to do. You just try to do the best you can as far as helping the players that you have become the best that they can be.
McGinnis will keep it on the sneak, and I believe he'll have the first down easily.
Mickey,
I can imagine how tough it would be to coach football in Calhoun County, as competitive as it is, and especially the fan support. It's just so high in this area.
Well, I tell you what, there's a lot of bad things about that as far as the criticism that you're going to receive, but overall you like that because the people are really interested in your program. You have a lot of support both in the fans and of course both with the sideline armchair coaches also.
That's something else I want to ask you about in just a minute. Let's see if they get this play off. McGinnis having a little helmet trouble. It's straightened out now. 1st and 10 from the 47. Clock is moving. 4:34 to play in the football game. McGinnis looks to throw, and passes nearly picked off.
That's Ben Bang again.
Bang had his hand on it again. He'd have had a touchdown if he'd have caught it. What I was going to ask you was, of course, a few years ago they broke the classes up. It used to be 4A was the highest, and 1A was the lowest. Now, of course, you have 6 classifications. What are your feelings on it?
Well, Mickey, I like it. You involve a lot more teams in the playoff system. It's something that the teams can look forward to at the end of the year. Yes, sometimes a bad team gets in the playoff, but they don't go very far. You eliminate those teams early, but it allows a lot more teams the opportunity to play in the playoffs. As a player at Weaver, when I was in high school, we went 9-1 2 years. They changed the playoff system both years. One year they ranked according to newspaper polls, and the next year they went by area classifications. We lost in our area to the state champions and didn't get to go to the playoffs. And then the year that they did it by polls in the newspaper, we were ranked 9th, and the top 8 got to go. So I like the situations where a lot of teams can get into the playoffs. It makes it interesting all the way through the year. Even if you're having a poor season record-wise and say you've only won 3 or 4 games but have done well in the area games, you still have a chance, something to play for toward the end of the season.
After that incompletion, it's 3rd down and 10. McGinnis hit as he throws it, and the pass can't be held on to by, I believe, that is Butler.
Mickey, we spoke earlier about Deion Williams standing in, knowing he was going to get hit, and yet delivering the ball for a big game. McGinnis did it that time, made a good throw. Receiver was not able to hang on to the football.
I know the more classifications gives more teams opportunities to go to the playoffs, but I tell you one thing I miss, and I know probably some of the smaller schools may not miss this, but I miss all the county schools playing each other more. Like Anniston used to play Sacs, Oxford used to play Alexandria, and Weaver used to play some of the bigger schools, and you really seem to see a lot of that every week in and week out. Now you don't.
Well, Mickey, one thing about it, though, what you missed was the years that Sacs and Anniston both had good teams and they played. And you remember those from back in those years, but there's a lot of times when one of them didn't have a good team, and that wasn't memorable at all.
The mismatch.
Right, and you had a lot more of those than you did the real good years. This way, your team has something to play for late in the season. Both of these teams, even though the Alexandria is only 2-3 thus far, they haven't lost any area games. They have a chance still to have a lot to play for with their area games the last 4 games of the year.
Alexandria went for it on 4th down, fumbled the snap, couldn't pick up any yardage. 1st and 10 for Sachs. They take it over at the Valley Cup 45. Williams gives it to the fullback. Running at that time was Kevin Kreider. Flag is thrown.
Kreider's been out for a couple of weeks with a turned ankle. I know it's still real tender. He wasn't expecting to see a lot of action tonight. He gets an opportunity to play. He made a good run, a little bit of a late hit by the Cubs. I'm sure they're a little frustrated right now. Mickey, what we were talking about earlier, you back up about 3 or 4 years ago, the Gadsden Tigers from Etowah County at this point in the season were 1-4. They ended up going through their area and winning some games, making it into the playoffs as the runner-up, and then went undefeated through the playoffs, won 5 playoff games and were state champions in Class 5A. They improved as a ball club as the season went along. Had it just been on their record early or been by any rankings in the newspaper, they would have never even gotten into the playoffs. As it worked out, not only did they get into the playoffs, but they won the state championship.
Amazing story. Amazing. 1st and 10, number 17, Chris Cook in at quarterback. Gives it to Kreider again. Kreider dives inside the 25 to the 24.
I tell you what, Sachs has a couple of good fullbacks. Kreider hit it up in there hard, spun, and picked up about 3 or 4 yards, maybe 5 yards on that play. He ran the ball hard, Mickey, and that's only the second time we've seen him carry the football.
Be 2nd down and 6. 3:22 to play in the football game. This one belongs to Sachs. The Wildcats lead at 19-0.
You know, Mickey, one of the most discouraging things for Alexandria has to be their inability to put points on the scoreboard. They have not scored many points all year long, and of course they're not going to score any here tonight unless they come up with a big turnover.
Confusion that time. Cook had to hold on to it. Don Hill knocked him down behind the line of scrimmage. A loss of about a half yard. It's going to be 3rd and 7.
Alexandria's been shut out in all 3 games that they've lost, if they're shut out here tonight. So I think they've got to get their offense moving. Of course, they've had a couple opportunities. Were not able to come up with the big plays, and they hurt themselves with some penalties early in the game.
3rd and 7. Cook gives it to Kreider, and he is met right away. First man through the Valley Cubs, I believe, was number 30, Binky Slayton, and Shannon Page.
Mickey, you have to be impressed with Sachs and the philosophy that Coach Davis uses. He's not able to overpower anybody. He hasn't overpowered Alexandria here tonight, but he mixes it up. He's doing a good job of coaching. He's mixing up his plays, and it's making his offense effective. Now, his defense looks a little bit stronger. They can stand in there and play a little toe-to-toe, even though they were able to play a lot of people up close tonight. But on offense, he mixes it up well, makes you defend a lot of things, and because of that, he's having quite a bit of success. I think he's doing an outstanding job of coaching a team that maybe doesn't have a lot of outstanding players, but a lot of guys that don't mind giving good effort.
On 4th and 9, Bouchard tripped up, won't get his first down. The Valley Cubs take it back over on downs. 1st and 10 with 1:48 remaining in the football game. The rain is stopped, but it's done the damage. Wet field has been a factor all night long.
Sachs certainly has their work cut out for them, Mickey. We talked about their area games, Oxford, Wellborn, and Jacksonville. They play Sylacauga, who's ranked in the top 5 in Class 5A, and Leeds is their homecoming game, and Leeds is having an outstanding year. They're undefeated at this point in the season, or maybe they have 1 loss. So they have their work cut out for them the next 5 games of the season.
Howard takes the pitch and finds some yardage on the left side. Stays in bounds, so the clock continues to move.
Coach Davis is playing a lot of people now. He still has in just a couple of his starters, but the rest of these are reserves that are getting a chance to play now. It's good that he's having an opportunity to play these people. I like the fact that he's getting them into the game. Even he knows he has the game won. He's giving them an opportunity to play. Even if Alexander was to break a big game, he's not concerned about that. These kids practice hard. He's getting them in the ball game, giving them a chance to play.
That play gained 6. It's 2nd down and 4. From the 33, Howard in motion. New quarterback. Pass is nearly picked off. Quarterbacking for the Valley Cubs is Kevin Gardner. Jason Hill almost picked it off. It falls incomplete.
I believe the quarterback was left-handed again, wasn't he?
McGinnis
was left-handed, and now their backup quarterback comes in and is left-handed. That's a little bit unusual.
3rd down and 4 coming up. From the 33, 41 seconds left in this one. Howard in motion once again. Gardner will pitch it to Howard. Howard's going to throw it. Throws it up, and it's in and out of the hands of the intended receiver. Try to pick up the number. I believe that's Butler.
Mickey, Howard can throw the football. Last year on their junior high football team, he's only a sophomore. Last year on their junior high football team, he played quarterback. I think primarily they were a running team in junior high last year, but he can throw the football. He's an excellent all-around athlete.
4th and 3 coming up. Alexandria will go for it. Nothing to lose at this point. Not sure who that is running, but he does a pretty good job of getting it up near the 40.
Jason Harris came up for sacks and applied a good lick along with a couple of other people for sacks.
Personal foul against the Valley Cubs. See what the officials do here. They're talking it over. Play gained a 1st down, but with the personal foul, they'll be looking at 1st down and 25.
Well, Mickey, if they have a 1st down on this play, that means it had to be a dead ball foul, so the personal foul took place after the play was over.
Gardner rolls to his left, has his man complete, knocked out of bounds at the 36. Clock stopped, 17 seconds, and a whole new crew of Valley Cubs will come in to play the final 17 seconds of this one.
Mickey, I guess this must be the youngsters for the Valley Cubs. Again, they're getting to play a little bit. Well, I think Alexandria's a little confused on this. I think they think it's Sack's ball and it was 4th down, but the officials ruled that personal foul took place after the play was over with, so it's still Alexandria's ball. It's only 2nd down.
I've never seen two defenses line up against each other.
Well, it'd be interesting. It'd end up with Alexandria would get a delay of game, though. They choose to use the timeout instead.
I'd see you draw up a play on that one. Timeout on the field. 12 seconds left.
Mickey, again, next week, I'm not sure where we'll be, but 3 possibilities. Anniston is hosting Gadsden, Ohatchee hosts Weaver, and Welborn is hosting Gunnersville. I'm not sure where we'll be. By Monday or Tuesday, we'll know. Either way, I think it'll be a good game. We've seen Anniston plenty of times. We've seen Welborn once. First game of the year. It'd be interesting to see them again. And, of course, we haven't had the opportunity to see Ohatchee and Weaver, so I'd like to have a chance to maybe see those 2 ball clubs also.
All right, 12 seconds showing on the clock. The Wildcats will move to 4-1 on the year. It's going to be hard to believe we're halfway through the football season after tonight.
I know it. And look at the 5A Area 11 race. Sachs 4-1. Welborn may be 4-1. Oxford 3-2, and Jacksonville could possibly be 4-1. They have a very balanced race. Of course, again, you have to think that Welborn and Oxford have to be favored, but there's some good teams in that area this year.
Pass is complete, and the clock is stopped with 2 seconds. 1st down again.
Again, the clock will start. If he didn't get out of bounds, the clock will start with the ready for play signal.
He didn't get out of bounds. Alexandria will have to hustle to get one off. Clock starts now, and they'll get one more play off. Gardner will throw it up for grabs, and he's got his man, but he can't hold on. And that's the story of the game for Alexandria.
Seems to be, Mickey. They weren't able to come up with a big play. Sachs came up with a big play. Early on, a great catch by Marcus Kirkland to allow them to score their first touchdown, their first points of the game. Then they come back with a big hit on defense, a fumble by the Valley Cubs. They run the ball in, pick it up, run it in for another big play. Second half, they played good defense. Alexandria couldn't get anything sustained going. They won the ball game.
All right, that's the ball game. 19-0, your final. Sachs wins it. And coming up, we hope to have Coach Butch Barker with the winning coach, Jay Davis of Sachs High School. When we return, we'll have that interview and we'll have some closing comments for you. Once again, your final score, Sachs wins it 19-0. We'll be back to Wildcat Stadium right after this. 19-0 over the Alexandria Valley Cubs. And Coach Butch Barker is down on the field with the winning coach for Sachs, Jay Davis. Let's go down to the field.
Coach, your defense played real well tonight, but Marcus Kirkland set up the opening score with a great catch.
Marcus Kirkland's just a fine athlete. When you get those two together, when you get Deion Williams throwing to Marcus Kirkland and Shannon Robertson, some of those good receivers that we have, and we had real fine protection out of our offensive line. In fact, that was the only thing we did well tonight as far as blocking was concerned. We didn't block very well except on one play that Keith Slayton ran late in the ball game there on the trap. But when Marcus goes up, he's big and tall and strong, and he went up and makes great catches like it. He's just a fine athlete. And of course, Deion threw the ball in the crowd. I don't know how Marcus came out with it. Two receivers got too close together. It was just sort of a lucky thing, but a great play on Kirkland's part.
Well, that was a big play by your offense. As I said, your defense played well all night. They came up with probably the play that put it away. A big hit by your defense, scooped it up, ran it in for the touchdown.
We had some hard licks tonight. I knew we would, and I knew that Alexandria would hit because, of course, it's such a big rivalry. But we talk a lot of times about if you see a loose ball there inside the line of scrimmage, around the line of scrimmage, we want you to fall on it, but if it's out on the corner like that, pick it up and see how much yards you can get out of it, and that's what McCain did. He's just a steady player, plays both ways, starts both ways, and I don't see how he's in great condition because he never gets tired. And that really, I think that did it for us right there. The rain delay sort of took some of the steam out of both teams probably, but that sort of put some life back into us when McCain made that big play.
Coach, I'll tell you one other aspect of your game that played a big role in the game from where I was watching. It was your kicking game. Your punter did a great job tonight.
That's another one of the athletes I keep talking about. You know, we don't have a great offensive line. We don't have a great anything much, but we're just steady in a lot of areas. And earlier in the year, we had Kevin Kreider kicking, and he got hurt, and we just took a good athlete like Shannon Robertson and put him back there, and he'd never punted before, and all of a sudden here he is kicking the football, kicking it dead, and I don't know how many times that he put him back in the hole, kicking the ball deep, and with a wet football. So, and our coverage was better than it's been all year long. So I think the kicking game probably has as much to do with the ball game as anything.
I think it did too, Coach. Congratulations on the big win, and good luck to you next week.
Thank you very much.
Back to you, Mickey.
All right, thanks a lot, Butch. Very happy Coach Jay Davis as his Sachs Wildcats have just defeated Alexandria by a final score of 19-0 to move to 4-1 on the year, while the Valley Cubs drop to 2-3. Glad you tuned in for tonight's Anniston New Channel's Calhoun County High School Football Game of the Week. A reminder, once again, we'll be coming to you again next weekend with either Anniston and Gadsden, Welborn and Gunnersville, or Ohatchee Weaver. We'll make a decision on that and let you know midway through the week. For all the entire crew here at Wildcat Stadium, they've done a great job tonight with the weather conditions. We appreciate you tuning in for the New Channel's Game of the Week. Hope to see you again next week. Until then, so long, everybody.
October.